Welcome to the Robcast. This is a show about Oakville, the people that work, live, and do business here. Really excited about today's episode. We have the president of the Oakville Rangers Hockey Club, John Verdon, on our show today. You are not going to want to miss this one.
It's the Robcast podcast. He's with you for the next hour or 20 minutes. Who knows? Let's see how it goes. Here he is. It's Rob Raham.
John, thanks so much for being here. It's been a while since I've seen you. I'm glad we were able to catch up here today.
Yeah.
So I'm going to dive right into it. Tell me, how did you get involved with the Oakville Rangers? A lot of the times it's because of a son or someone who's played hockey. Tell me the story about how you kind of came to be in this role.
Yeah, well, it's a long and it's a strange story because I grew up AA, AAA, and didn't love it. Loved hockey, but didn't love that experience.
Like yourself playing? You mean?
Yeah. And when I had a boy and a girl and a boy, I was not interested in being in hockey arenas in Belleville and St. Thomas on weekends at all. In fact, my wife took my oldest son, to all the stuff early on, and I wasn't even there. People thought we were divorced or single.
Really?
Not there's anything wrong with that, but I didn't even go. And I stayed home with the other kids. I said, I don't want to be a hockey family. But inevitably it happened. And so then after a couple of years, I became a trainer on a friend of mine. I didn't want my kid playing rep. I wanted him in house league. If we're going to be in hockey, I just want to be on weekends, and that's it. I don't want to consume our lives. But thanks to my wife's DNA, my son was a pretty good hockey player, so
Yep.
he was on rep. Nothing to do with me, that's for sure.
Yeah, right.
And then, so then I became a trainer just to help out, and then I kind of got the coaching bug. And then when my younger guy came through, I said, well, I'm going to become a coach. So I started off as a coach. Like many other parents, I started to get frustrated with the Oakville Rangers Hockey Club. And me and 3 or 4 other buddies thought we could maybe improve things, make things better for Oakville kids and families. And so we got involved at a board level, call it 9 years ago. And, after the former president resigned, I ran for election, and so I've been president for 7 years. So that's how it's happened. My final kid's aged out, so I'm no longer coaching.
Yep.
I'm just El Presidente.
I think a lot of people that grew up playing Rangers or playing rep hockey, and I know people out there, I don't think parents go into it wanting to go down that road. We made that decision ourselves too. We put our kids into kind of power skating, and I didn't want to push it in because I didn't want it to consume. And we were growing up, my dad said we skied on the weekends, and we're not doing that. Yeah. And now maybe my brother and I resented a bit that we didn't go to higher levels. But at the same time, now I'm in the Oakville rep system for soccer. And one of the biggest challenges we find is how consuming the time is for parents and for the kids. And can you talk to some of that? Are people aware of that, or is that just what comes with the territory if you want to play this level of hockey?
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame. I mean, Hockey Canada and the powers that be in hockey recognize that it's become too much.
7 days a week.
It's become too much, 5, 6, 7 days a week. And that, really Gretzky and those guys, when they came up, they played baseball, they played soccer, they did all that stuff.
Right?
And despite all the evidence that people have that that's the best way to progress, that's not what ends up happening. People get into sports and they become maniacal about it, and they play all summer. And so Hockey Canada has done the best they can, but at the end of the day, it's a free market economy.
Yep.
And there are entrepreneurs out there that are going to sell hockey all summer long and only too happy to take your money, and the parents are lining up.
Was there a point where you saw that shift? Because you're absolutely right, and that's part of the challenge. When we were growing up, you played hockey in the wintertime, soccer or baseball in the summertime, and that's just what it was. You had 2 different kind of sports a year. But somewhere along the line, that changed. And I don't know if that's when it became more of a business and they saw opportunities. Like, do you remember, was there a point, do you remember, it might have been before you, where it kind of shifted? If your kid shows any talent and you're willing to pay the money to get into this, we'll provide them with the ice all year round.
Yeah, no, I think, I don't know exactly when the shift happened, but, there's the Oakville Rangers Hockey Club, but then there are probably 10 to 12 private instructors and 4 or 5 private ice facilities within 20-minute drive that are catering to these families.
Yep.
And some of these guys are ex-pros. They make a living at hockey. They're great people. They do great stuff. But there's a feeling that if you're not keeping up with the Joneses in hockey, Billy's going to be left behind.
Yeah.
So it's a never-ending arms race.
Yeah.
And you somehow feel you're doing your son or daughter short shrift if you don't have them on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Like I've literally had conversations with dads and moms that have never played hockey, and I said, "What are you doing here?"
Yeah.
So I got to be here.
I know.
I got to be here, or
We
my
face
son's
it
going to get
too.
left
We
behind.
get these texts, on the WhatsApp groups. All the teams are on WhatsApp group, and we've got another time available for this. I'm in. You're like, okay, I was really looking forward to that day, but now we got to do this, right? It's a problem.
Yeah, no, it is, and it's tough too. It's tough to even speak up because let's even take house league hockey, which is supposed to be one game, one practice a week.
Yep.
Well, you've got a really keen coach, and that coach wants to get a little bit of extra ice time, maybe enter an extra tournament, and then he asks the parents, "Hey, is everyone cool if we do a little extra?" Now, do you really want to be the parent that puts up your hand and say, "No, I'm actually not cool. I signed up because I want one practice and one game a week and 2 tournaments."
Yeah, it's pressure.
I didn't sign up for 4 times a week plus 4 tournaments.
Yeah.
But you don't want to put your hand up. And so we're trying to make sure that we've got options for people that literally just want to do one practice and one game.
Yeah.
And get it done during the week so their weekends are free. And so we've started to try to cater to that crowd.
How much has the program grown? I mean, I know now there's multiple teams. It used to just be single, double, triple, but I don't know. I mean, there's select programs now. Like from when you started to where it is now, how much has the actual Rangers Club grown?
Well, we've actually shrunk. So Is
that right?
No, I've done a heck of a job. You give me something that's going great.
Yeah, just shrink it down.
And I will figure out how to bury it.
Yeah.
No, like at one point, we had 4,200 kids playing.
Yeah.
And then the sort of demographics changed, and Oakville wasn't growing that fast. And we got down organically to about 3,400.
Okay.
And then we got punched in the gut with COVID. We lost 800.
Wow.
And we've slowly crept back a little bit by a little bit, but we're about 3,000 now, which still makes us the largest minor hockey association in Canada. But, we're a shadow of our former selves. But what there is there's way more rep hockey. It's supposed to be a pyramid, right?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a house league at the bottom. And then
that's where the majority of
pyramid,
teams should
and that's
be.
the way it should be.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say we're an inverted pyramid quite yet, but
So it's top heavy, you're saying?
it's too top heavy. But I don't want to get too much into it. But the problem is Oakville creates a lot of good hockey players. And so if they don't get to play rep in Oakville, they can go to the GTHL.
Yep.
So kids that can't make an A team here in Oakville, they go make a double A team in the G right across the border, and we lose them. So we've added more rep teams and more options for kids that want to play competitive hockey.
Yeah.
And our teams do well. So those kids clearly belong there.
You've kind of segued to the success stories. I think one of your U16 team won the WHL, the whole thing this year, right?
Yeah, the OHL Cup.
OHL Cup, yeah.
The Ontario Hockey League Cup, which is,
one of the most successful teams you guys have produced, right?
Yes.
And then the result of this is top draft pick. And then I think how many others on that team?
12 other kids got drafted.
So that's a huge accomplishment for the Rangers because in my experience, if you want to be going to the draft, you got to be in Toronto. That used to be.
Historically, that was one of the changes we made when we came in because of our population center, because of our size, we have to field a AAA team at every level. We don't have a choice. We are called a AAA center by the Ontario Hockey Federation. So it doesn't matter if the team's good, bad, or indifferent. The first team we have to field before a AA or single A is a AAA team. And we really weren't in the AAA business. So all of our best players would go to the G.
Yeah.
And so 7 or 8 years ago, we said, if we're being forced to be in the AAA business, why are we tying both hands behind our back? Let's get in the AAA business. And so it starts and ends with great coaches. And as proud as I am of the Oakville Rangers and our involvement in the U16 AAA OHL Cup, it happened for one reason: coaching.
Yeah.
Mike Dorenzis, our belief in coaches, us backing coaches, us trying to attract the best coaches. That's why it happened. He then attracts the best players. He attracts parents that buy into the program. They don't move and jump to greener pastures and come back. They stay with the program. They buy in. And so it starts with great coaching. And
now that's something I think the Toronto teams have been doing for a while.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
now, I mean, is that a budgetary thing to have these guys come in? Was there kind of like this had to be approved to start? Are we compensating coaches? Is that part of it?
Yeah,
part of the challenge for it as well?
Well, it is now. We didn't 5, 6, 7 years ago, but we said if we're going to get in the AAA business, you want to attract great hockey people.
So you took that. How long ago was it? 7 years ago. You took a different approach, and you said this is what we want to do, and this is the first, as you say, this is kind of the first. It takes time.
Yeah, no, we've had mad success. Mad success, really, and we've attracted unbelievable coaches. We've got unbelievable coaches all levels of AAA, and then we've also started to attract non-parent coaches who want to be a AAA coach for us. We don't have a spot for them, so they'll take a AA team.
Okay.
And so, if there's one thing I'm proudest of, it's our focus on coaching, and how I'll put our best coaches, our 10 best coaches up against the Marlies, against the Junior Canadians, against any club in Canada. We've got great coaches. That's the backbone, and that was the shift that we did. And yeah, they have to be compensated.
Yeah.
These guys make a living off hockey. Parents, they need to. They need to have some cachet. These guys. They need to have played Division I. They need to offer something that the parents can buy into. And so we want to be competitive, but we're trying to strike this balance. We still want to be hometown hockey.
Yeah.
So we don't. It's not win at all costs. We've put rules in place that we're allowed to have 5 imports. We don't have 5 imports. We don't let kids come here and play for free.
Yeah.
We won't run a short roster. So, hey, we're only going to have 2 centers on the team, so your son will be on every other shift. There's a bunch of things we're prepared to do to compete. Mm-hmm. There's a bunch of things we're not prepared to do. So we're trying to have it both ways. We're trying to be competitive at AAA, but still have the best parts of hometown hockey, kids hanging out together, kids having sleepovers together, all that stuff, as opposed to just mercenaries, see you at the rink and leave.
Is the pushback to that is the challenge presented by mainly parents who don't necessarily see those things? It's just ice time. It's just, or is that not matter if you don't want to kind of follow what we're doing?
Well, no, that's our constant struggle, right? Like, we're a not-for-profit and we're run by volunteers. So a not-for-profit run by volunteers is always going to be outmaneuvered by entrepreneurs.
Always. They always have the ideas. They always know how to do things better.
So the GTHL is run by entrepreneurs, okay? Most of them are really, 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 really good guys and gals. Some could be a little unscrupulous. So when your 12-year-old son, 10-year-old son, daughter gets cut from a team in Oakville, and there might be a coach from whatever, the Toronto Red Wings standing there, and they walk up and say, hey, you know what? Your kid would make my AAA team. You don't want to see your son or daughter upset. And so we constantly have at our tryouts coaches from GTHL teams who are poaching our kids.
Yeah.
And,
when did this all become so crazy? Because, it seemed, first of all, going back now 30 years, we weren't allowed to change leagues. You couldn't go to the G. You weren't allowed to if you had an Oakville address. You couldn't do it. When did that all change? Because now it seems they finish the season, they have success, and they go right into this draft kind of process. And are they going to make this team? And it's
literally. So, the Ontario Hockey Federation did something good about 4 or 5 years ago, and I'm not sure everyone would agree it's good, but hometown hockey is intact until U14.
Okay.
So you cannot leave Oakville to go somewhere else before U14, unless say you try for our AAA team and you don't make our AAA team, but another AAA team offers you a spot, then we have to let you go, and that makes sense. Kid wants a AAA up. We don't want to hold kids back.
Yeah.
But what we do want is, and I think the wisdom behind the OHF idea was, you want the kids involved in the decision, and when they're 9, they can't be involved in the decision, and 10, and you want the parents to have had some experience. So from my standpoint, if we haven't convinced you by age U14 that Oakville's the place to be, then you should be allowed to go.
Right.
We've dropped the ball. We've dropped the ball in some way. And so that's what I constantly tell our guys. Let's stop focusing on trying to trap kids here and instead build the best mousetrap that
they want
to be here.
Yeah.
And that's what we've started to see now. We still lose kids, but we have kids who are coming in here. Kids who are moving to Oakville. Kids who are trying to escape their clubs to come to Oakville. And that has almost never been the case in the history of the club.
Yeah. So, we've talked about a lot of things already, but, as part of your tenure as president, I'm aware that there's been a lot of success stories. Other than just the results on the ice, you've created a number of tournaments with your board. Why don't you talk to us about that, how those came to be, and why you felt the need, and how they've grown?
Yeah, well, I think it's all in how you define a problem. So I talked about registration declining and changing demographics. And we've worked really hard to try and either slow the decline of registration or increase it, and we've been largely unsuccessful. And so I reframed the problem to the board a couple of years ago that we don't really have a registration problem, we have a revenue problem. And how can we generate revenue? Well, we happen to live in this amazing town of Oakville that has unbelievable facilities, probably the best arenas
one of the highest incomes per capita
around. We also are proximal to Toronto, proximal to the border, proximal to Niagara Falls. And so we are a great destination for tournaments. And we've had some in the past that were successful, but then sort of during COVID, they hit the skids. And so we wanted to start fresh. And so we started with the Oakville Rangers Winter Classic 2 years ago and could not believe the response. I'd love to take credit for it. Our board would love to take credit for it. It is if you build it, they will come. All the stuff I said. Oakville's a great destination. It's got the hotels. It's got Burlington.
How many teams are coming to this?
So in our very first, I thought success. I would have been depressed at 140 teams. I would have been happy with 160. I would have been elated at 180. We sold out by July 1st weekend, 300 teams.
Like, did that create a problem for you?
A massive problem.
Yeah.
So we ended up having to get ice in Burlington, Milton, Halton, Mississauga. And
so this is the first year you guys did it?
That was the first year we did it.
So obviously there's other players craving this, other teams and programs.
The first year we did it, we were the second biggest tournament in Canada. Last year we went up to 336 teams, biggest tournament in Canada.
Wow.
This year, if I can find the ice and the referees, will be 396 teams, which will be the biggest tournament in North America.
Now, that's obviously comes with challenges. There's costs involved. I mean, when you're looking forward to, in the future, are you starting to work on kind of how to streamline this concept?
Well, yeah. I mean, what we've done is we've added 3 more tournaments. So a great House League tournament, a great U9 tournament, and something called Shrink the Rink, which is U7 and U8s. So basically, I mean, it's great because it brings in people, and it's great for tourism and restaurants and all that stuff. But what it also has is almost every one of our teams has the ability to participate. So out of 180 teams or so, we usually have about 150 in the 4 tournaments.
Yeah.
So it's serving residents, but it's also bringing in tourism. I mean, the challenges we're facing is Oakville has 9 hotels, and we sell them all out. Last year, we sold out every hotel from the Burlington Skyway to the airport. Every piece of inventory they would give us, 4,500 room nights, 105 teams staying in hotels.
Yeah.
It's
Does
insanity.
the town of Oakville get involved with this to help? Have you had to need them to kind of give some allowances or breaks on this?
Well, Visit Oakville, which is the tourism, not-for-profit tourism arm. They've been very helpful to us.
Okay.
They give us guidance, and they give us a little bit of money, and they help us with the hotels. They help us wrangle hotels. But we are going to be looking towards, the municipality and the mayors to try and get more ice time, because we're obviously not the only ice user in town. There's the Hornets, which are a great organization. There's Skate Oakville, which is a great organization. There's Speed Skaters, and so to interrupt their programming creates some friction. But at the same time, I'm trying to get people to see the bigger picture that, I'm perfectly willing to stand down some of Oakville Rangers activities if they want to have a huge event. Like, I think that we should.
There's got to be give and take.
I think we should take advantage of our great location and the fact that people want to come here.
Yeah.
And so I'm big on that. So I'm trying to push that agenda. The Oakville Blades are hosting the Centennial Cup on May 9th, which is a huge feather in their cap.
Yeah.
And
the World Juniors training here over the years, right?
I think these are great things putting Oakville on the map, and we're proud to be a part of it.
Does the current infrastructure of Oakville's hockey rinks, is it, I mean, everyone could want for more. Is it kind of managing the amount of people, or is there still a shortfall, if you compare to other cities or towns, or are we kind of on par?
No, we're in great shape.
Okay.
We're like, I mean, there's a changing customer out there. When my young kid was coming up, I had 7 a.m. practices during weekdays.
6 a.m.
And once a month I'd have a 6 a.m. Well, you could shoot a cannon in every. So I hear there's an ice shortage, but you could shoot a cannon in any arena at 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning.
They're not doing it anymore?
There's no team organized practice. There might be some kids doing privates. There might be some figure skaters doing privates. But there is
because they kind of saved that for the younger ages. I mean, that's how we started, and that's why I hated hockey to start. 6 a.m. practices.
Yeah, exactly. But Oakville's got the best facilities, the best arenas. Even our so-called worst, like Canuck and Maple Grove, are
Yeah.
are better than 80% of the rinks I play in when I go out of town.
It wasn't when I was playing at Canuck. The chain link fence.
Yeah, well, they
And
got
the
rid of that.
concrete boards behind. My separated shoulder still to this day from that board.
Well, anyone who plays body contact can't play at Maple Grove or Canuck because, like you said,
the exact
the
reason.
boards are in concrete.
Yeah. Where people are standing up above
No
it,
one
right?
told you.
No. And it was a practice, actually, when we were playing. I want to pull it back to just, again, and again, you've talked about so many positive things, but certainly the challenges of kids leaving and then coaches leaving, and there's not much you can do or say about it. Is it common throughout all the clubs? I mean, you come off successful years, you lose some. Now that, someone's willing to pay them more, how do you kind of manage that? Because obviously parents have expectations, and, a certain coach they expect to be there and it is not, and there's nothing you can really do.
Yeah.
Has that become a big challenge for you in the growth, or is it just one of those things you got to deal with?
Well, I mean, yeah, it's one of the things you got to deal with. There's puts and takes. Like like for example, Mike Durenzis, who led that team to the OHL U16 AAA championships. Well, good news story. He got hired for a huge program out in Calgary, huge for his career. But now there was a bunch of players coming in to play for him.
Right.
Because he was moving back down and take over our U12s and do it all again, U12, U13, U14, U15, U16.
Right.
And, he achieved great success and moved on. We had Mike Tarantino here, who's now the coach of the OJHL team in Collingwood. He was one of our coaches. He's had great success. And these are great stories. Oh, sorry. Justin Pereira is now a coach in the OJHL as well, and he was an assistant coach in the OHL last year. So we have coaches that move on, and then, that obviously upsets parents and players, but things can't stay constant, and we're so happy that our coaches are achieving success elsewhere. But no, it's constant, but every now and then we have something really positive happen where it attracts players in. So you hope that at the end of the day, all I want to have, we're not going to be everything to everybody. And we can't satisfy everybody. If you definitely want to get your kid drafted for sure, then you think he's good enough, then Toronto Marlies is still probably a better place to go than the Rangers.
But that's where all the best go too. That's the higher
right.
competition.
But then the team changes out. You make the team, and then by November, like you're a month into the season, 2 months into the season, and you might be told you're not coming back, or you're looking for a new place, or the top 3 guys are going to play for the junior Canadians, and it's just shifting sands. It's not fun.
Yeah.
It's a business.
Yeah.
So, I'm proud of where we're at, and like our brain trust, Jan Lewick and all the people, all our hockey people, we're all aligned. We have a philosophy. We want to be competitive at AAA. You don't need to leave Oakville if you want to get drafted. We've proven that year in and year out. But you also get the best of hometown hockey here.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to make happen.
If you were to walk away today, what would you look back at this experience with the Rangers and say, man, I'm proud of what we did here? I mean, I know it's a whole body, but is there something that really stands out to you that you think, man, we changed something here for the good?
Yeah, no, what I'm proudest of? I mean, we talk about rep and all the elite stuff here. That's the stuff that gets the headlines. But what I'm proudest of is we used to be called the Minor Oaks Hockey Association, and no offense to history, and MOHA.
Yeah,
but
MOHA
in a day and age of searching online and all that doesn't even have the word Oakville in it. And so then the rep kids became known as the Rangers, and the House League kids wore MOHA jerseys.
Okay.
And I didn't like that. And neither did some members of our board. And so we renamed the club the Oakville Rangers Hockey Club, and we're all Rangers.
Across the board.
Across the board. House League kids, some of whom are better than rep kids, but they want to be skiers and they want to play tennis, they want to do other stuff.
Yep.
They can buy all the cool Rangers merch.
Yeah. And their jerseys say
they say Rangers.
They're Rangers.
It didn't used to. And I can tell you when we first made the change, and you know how mean kids can be. Some rep kids at school were like stealing kids' jackets and saying, you're not rep.
Yeah, you're not rep.
But luckily, we've made it through that. We're all Rangers. So that's probably what I'm proudest of, is the rebrand from MOHA to Oakville Rangers Hockey Club, and then making it inclusive and that we're all Rangers.
Yeah. Having your own kids go through this process and all these things that you've realized over your career here, is there advice you have for young parents who've got a kid that can show some skill in hockey? Is there any advice you have to those parents to say, this is what I've learned and this is what you should, here's some advice for you and your kid in their hockey career? Yeah,
well, I can tell you if my buddy Peter Natashak were here, who played at Cornell and has a kid who just played Junior A, he would wish that all he had done is got the hell out of the way. And I think you can't be completely hands off. I think you need to find a coach that you and your son are comfortable with, and then get hands off. Then get hands off. I mean, pay attention, make sure that
that's a hard thing to ask, but I totally agree.
But
it's something I have to look at myself in the mirror do as well with my boys. Sometimes you just can't help but
you can't micromanage. Like, I think my kid's a centerman. Our player advisor says my kid's a centerman. Why do you have him on right wing? Like, if you trust the process, first of all, you have to get a coach that you trust, and that's why pedigree matters.
Yeah.
But if you trust the process and go with the process and don't overreact and go curb to curb and lane to lane, and you're furious about this, or the team got eliminated early, or they have a terrible goalie that can't win tournaments on Sunday, so I'm going to go off to the Toronto Titans, and then the next year the Titans disintegrate, and so the year after that you're on the Red Wings. And then some of these kids have 8 different color hockey helmets by the time they're done their career, because they've moved, and that is a recipe for failure. And I can tell you as well, the scouts look at the parents as much as they look at the players.
I bet.
It's 1,000. It's not theoretical. Parents, do not be the reason why your son or daughter don't make it. Be the reason they do.
You got that out there, parents? Hope you're listening to that. So, John, in closing, what does the future hold for here and for the Oakville Rangers, and how would you kind of upsell it to parents out there who are thinking about joining, or the current parents out there? What's your message to them?
Well, listen, I mean, the truth about hockey is still the truth. There's a reason why employers look for resumes where kids played team sports, learning to be a part of a team, learning conflict management, learning to put the team's goals above your own from time to time, learning to get along in a dressing room with a bunch of different personalities. These things have never been more important. It builds character, it builds leadership, and you build friends for a lifetime. That sounds like
cliche, but it's the truth.
But it's true. Like, all of my boys and my daughter who played Hornets still have friends.
Those are
some of their best
strong and
friends.
profound memories going up.
100%, and being at tournaments together. So, I mean, it's a great experience. There's been so much noise, Hockey Canada negativity noise, and what's going. The problems that we're reading about and hearing about aren't hockey problems. They exist in hockey, but they exist in football, and they exist in lacrosse and gymnastics and all over the place. And it's terrible, and we all got to do better. But there's nothing fundamentally wrong with the game, and there's nothing fundamentally wrong with minor sports. They're great development, and registration is open now for the Oakville Rangers. And if you sign up before the end of June, there's a free T-shirt in it for you. So go to the OakvilleRangers.ca website and get yourself registered. We have programs no matter if you want to be as competitive as you can be, if you just want to learn to skate, learn to play hockey, you just want to play on weekends, you name the program, we have the program. And so please go to OakvilleRangers.ca and sign up today.
John, this segues perfectly into one of our favorite parts of the show here, and this is the Robcast Rapid Ask. So I'm going to ask you a couple questions here. So starting with one of the most famous ones is you're on death row in jail. You've got your last meal. What are you looking to do? I know you've come from a background of the hospitality industry, so this might be a tough one for you, but...
Yeah, no, I would be having some type of roast beef and potatoes.
Okay, meat and potatoes guy.
Absolutely. I'm a meat and potatoes guy. Even though I've been in the restaurant industry, meat and potatoes, baby.
Got it. It's a beautiful day. You get in the car, sunroof open, you've had a successful day. Is there a band that you're popping in the CD? Is there, I know you're a big music guy.
Dude, I'm in my 50s. I'm a white dude. Of course it's U2.
Of course.
It's either U2 or Coldplay, but obviously it's U2. Love them. Seen them all over the world.
I think I got to jump into this because one of the questions is something that people don't know about you, and I think you should be able to coattail off that. Like, how many concerts have you actually seen and been around the world with this band?
I've seen more than 40 U2 shows.
Yeah, and there's one that stands out.
I've seen them like 3 times in Ireland. I just saw them 4 times at the Sphere in Vegas.
Yeah.
I'm a bit of a U2 groupie. I go with a bunch of buddies. I've seen them in Vancouver, Montreal.
Yeah.
I had my family vacation go to Italy, and we were planning our route around Italy, and for some reason we ended up in Torino. And I told my wife, actually, U2 is playing tonight.
Oh, what a coincidence, right?
Yeah. So she's like, you planned this whole Italy trip so we can go to U2? I said, maybe.
Yeah. Well, John, I really appreciate you coming on the show today. We wish the Oakville Rangers and your club the best of luck. Stay tuned for another episode of the Robcast. Thanks for watching.